Before the season kicks off, what do you have them finishing in La Liga and in the Champions League?
I have Real Madrid winning La Liga this year. And I think Barcelona will focus really intensely on trying to win that Champions League and take their eye off the ball domestically.
Ahora el rol es diferente, pero bueno, estoy expectante, ¿no? Y estoy motivado, estoy con ganas de volver a sentir esa conexión con la gente, que ha pasado el tiempo, pero siempre la he sentido muy viva, a pesar de que ha pasado mucho tiempo allá donde estaba, esa relación con el club, esa conexión. Y no estoy preparado, pero que pase lo que tenga que pasar y que sienta lo que tenga que sentir, pero estoy feliz de volver. Y es lo que es, hemos tenido tan solo 2 semanas y ya no hay que buscar excusas. Ya creo que el equipo puede competir mañana, vamos a intentarlo, estoy convencido que así va a serlo, porque muchas veces las ganas y el corazón empujan mucho más que las piernas y mañana pues tenemos ganas de empezar, tenemos ganas de volver al estadio, tenemos ganas de conectar con la afición y que la gente disfrute.
And you hear him there saying that he wants this football team to connect with the fans, both on the field, off the field, in every possible respect. And Ian, as we were listening to Xabi Alonso talking there, you were saying you really want him to succeed, and you want to see if he can make his style of football that works so well at Leverkusen, that was incredibly entertaining to watch, work with this group of Real Madrid players. How important is a fast start for him in this new endeavor?
Yeah, listen, I think you need to get off to a good start. Obviously, with Atleti's result, it makes it a little bit more interesting because Barcelona obviously would be now favourites to win La Liga. I think Real Madrid just slightly behind them, still have to put together a very positive start. Obviously, you're dealing with a very short pre-season, and that's difficult. You heard Xabi Alonso right there discussing that. Not quite ready. Momentum's not quite perfect going into the season, where realistically, if you had a perfect pre-season, you've got time with your players, they know your system, you know your starting 11, every player's pretty much close to being 100% healthy, but with the crazy Club World Cup and obviously the distractions that Real Madrid have gone through, new manager in charge, there's a lot of distraction there. So Xabi Alonso could create a lot of excuses, but I think he's simply saying, I'm asking for a little bit of patience to get it right out there on the pitch, but if it's anything to go by, when he went to Leverkusen, they were in the relegation zone, and he managed to get them into a European place, and then the next season went undefeated in the Bundesliga. So as far as I'm concerned, I think he gets off to a pretty good start and slowly goes about his business, just chipping away at which team he wants to put out there as the perfect 11.
But you just don't have the runway at Real Madrid. You're talking about, oh, they were in a relegation zone, then you slowly build them up. You don't have that runway at Real Madrid. You got to get going from the off. And I think that result right there at the top of your screen, that 4-0 defeat to PSG, kind of hastens the beginning of this. We've already seen Xabi Alonso lose a big game in fairly embarrassing fashion. But now looking ahead to what this season is going to bring, when you talk about Luka Modric leaving the football club, when you talk about Jude Bellingham not being in from the start because of a surgery they had in the offseason, they're not at full strength. What are you expecting from this group in terms of how they're going to replace what they're missing right now?
Well, listen, defensively, they need to be better than what they were last season. It was pretty poor defensively across all competitions. They conceded a record number of goals. How many goals?
84 goals in total.
It's absolutely insane number, right?
Yes.
And I think it's important to recognise that defences can win you championships and certainly keep you in a championship race. As you pointed out there, humiliation also for Xabi Alonso in that game against Paris Saint-Germain. I do think that he's got a great group of players. And offensively, with Kylian Mbappé at your disposal, you expect him to be better than he was last season. To get off to a great start this campaign would be perfect for him. The biggest question mark I'm going back to is Vinicius Jr. What's happening with him? Where does his future lie? If he gets off to a really good start, Xabi Alonso is the perfect man manager for someone who needs a bit of confidence, especially in a World Cup year, to get back to the best of their ability. I think they're pretty much set in midfield as well. They've got a lot of competition in that midfield area. Defensively, they're better, they look healthier. Huijsen comes into the lineup. I think he's going to add a fresh new idea with a young, fresh pair of legs along that back line. Alexander Arnold, how does he do defensively? That's the big question mark. Offensively, I don't have a doubt he'll be great. But I do think that Real Madrid will focus on defensively being solid, making sure you get your best players healthy and playing well. If he gets Kylian going and he gets Vini Jr going, you're halfway to being close to winning a championship.
And this is what the team we think will look like on the opening day of the season. Eder Militao, I think, is an underrated returner, having missed a large portion of last season due to injury. But I think the names that maybe not a lot of people would expect to see, Brahim Diaz down the right and Arda Güler finally ascending into that midfield and becoming one of the regular starters. Do you think that this is a more complementary team around Mbappé and Vinicius Jr. that can make them thrive a little bit more?
I do. I think against Osasuna, their record is pretty impeccable. I think they've won 15 of their 17 games they've played in La Liga most recently. I think Osasuna in their history has only ever won twice against them at the Bernabeu. So I do think that for sure history speaks for itself. And they do possess a bit of problem. Obviously, Budimir comes into the team in the season with a fantastic season behind him where he scored a record number of goals for himself. Former FC St. Pauli player, going to throw that out there. But listen, this is a young group of players, and where do we see Xabi Alonso work his best? And for me, it's the younger players. You mix a great deal of experience. I think Militao and Courtois will play a big role in that experience, and whether you like it or not, Kylian Mbappé is going to have to play that leadership role as well to complement those young players. Obviously, Carreras at that left fullback position, if he does start there. I'm wondering how that partnership's going to be with Arda Güler and, of course, Vini Jr., where I think on that left-hand side, they need to consistently get better and better. Obviously, Mendy not there. I think it's an opportunity for a youngster to really shine, but also for Güler and Vini Jr. Can you strike that partnership going forward? And maybe if we just see Tchouaméni and Valverde start in those positions, that midfield should be absolutely solid. I want to see more from Güler, you know. I don't know where his future lies, and probably he doesn't know that, but I think Xabi Alonso gives a second opportunity to a lot of players who are on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it was difficult for a lot of players to get a chance under Ancelotti, who always trusted his veterans in those big moments. You wonder how much they become a youth development club, but if Xabi Alonso is great working with youth, does that work the same at Real Madrid given the level of expectations? But let's talk about the headline makers, Mbappé, Vinicius Jr. A lot of talk about fit issues, about issues with balance. These are the two players that walked more than any other players in La Liga last season in terms of distance spent on the pitch walking, issues defensively, issues with are they getting in each other's way. Do you think that resolves itself any better this season?
That's a big battle. I think that's down to, in many ways, Vinicius Jr. Personally, I think Kylian Mbappé went to that football club understanding that he had to try and build a relationship with Vinicius Jr, obviously Jude Bellingham, and the players who love to be in that offensive manner. I think Rodrigo you throw into that category, maybe Brahim Diaz this time around will get the opportunity along there. I mean, that chemistry is so important, but the most important partnership that I recognized need to be on point was that one between Kylian Mbappé and, of course, Vinicius Jr. If they are at the best of their ability, Real Madrid should score close to 100 goals in the Liga this year, if not more. They're that good. I want to see a happy, a healthy, a positive Vinicius Jr. Because if he's positive, it's almost as if the team goes with him. So he's a big key to their success. Of course, Kylian Mbappé scoring over 50 goals. It seems like it's trademark for him now across all competitions. I don't think he'll struggle again this year, Kylian, for scoring goals. I think he'll be, again, chasing that golden boot, Pichichi. And I do think it's important for him to stay healthy. In a World Cup year, all of these players know and understand the importance of making sure you manage your games correctly. Maybe it's not necessarily every single La Liga game you need to play, but they do want to get off to a great start. So I'm happy that he's putting out his best team.
Before the season kicks off, what do you have them finishing in La Liga and in the Champions League?
I have Real Madrid winning La Liga this year. And I think Barcelona will focus really intensely on trying to win that Champions League and take their eye off the ball domestically. So we might see a domestic double from Real Madrid. I do think I'm a big fan of Xabi Alonso. I think that's clearly evident from my time here on Scoreline. But I do think he's got the players to be able to get the job done. And this is going to be important because Osasuna, very good side, record-breaking season for them last year. They were brilliant. They won a record 12 games in La Liga. And with Budimir up top, they possess weapons. So can they spring a surprise and get off to a good start? It's going to be a bit of a mountain to climb, especially when you go to a wonderful stadium like that with a new manager at the helm.
Well, and I think one of the things that Real Madrid lost over the course of last season was almost something of a fear factor. I think it used to be you go to the Bernabeu and you were terrified of playing there and you were trying to limit the damage. And I just don't think that that factor was there come the end of last season. I think a lot of teams showed up there thinking, this team is there for the taking, which is remarkable considering the town level. It's why they made the changes. But do you think that returns this year? Do you think teams will be scared again to play at their place?
Real quickly, whose fault do you think that was?
I just think it was a malaise that fell over the place. And I really think for as good as Mbappé was statistically last season, he didn't help them. I really don't think that with all the collection of players, with the team building that they have assembled, that they have the balance to put together a strong football team, both attacking and defending. And I think that came back to bite him, and we'll see if Xabi Alonso can fix those issues.
I hate to say this about a record breaker and someone who's done incredibly well at that football club in Carlo Ancelotti, but the rumours about his future didn't help. The rumours about, obviously, Vinicius Jr.'s future feature didn't help. Obviously, what happened defensively, conceding so many goals, I think Xabi Alonso shuts the media up very quickly. He is a master at that. Don't forget the respect he has. Having a Spanish manager in charge of that football club could be very important for them.
Yeah, I think it would be great for them and to cool down that criticism, not just win, but win comfortably
Yes.
on Tuesday.